Imagine waking up tomorrow and there are no elections, no courts, no theaters, no Olympic Games. The words democracy, philosophy, and mathematics don't exist. This would be our reality if ancient Greece hadn't changed everything. Discover how a civilization from 2,500 years ago shaped almost every aspect of your daily life, and why their greatest achievement wasn't what most people think. The story begins in 776 BC, when Greek city-states were about to create something unprecedented. But before we dive into their achievements, you need to understand one crucial thing. Welcome to Deep History, where we bring the ancient past to life through stories that reveal the roots of our modern world. Today we'll dive into the incredible legacy of ancient Greece, exploring how their innovations continue to impact our lives in ways most people have never imagined. Ancient Greece wasn't a single empire. It was a collection of fiercely independent city-states, each competing to outdo the others. This competition would spark a revolution in human thinking that we still benefit from today. Let's start with their most obvious gift: democracy. But here's what your history teacher probably never told you. The first democracy in Athens was actually an accident. When the tyrant Hippias was overthrown in 508 BC, the power vacuum created chaos. Into this chaos stepped Cleisthenes, who proposed a radical idea: let the people rule themselves. This wasn't democracy as we know it today. Only adult male citizens could vote, excluding women, slaves, and foreigners. But it was the first time in human history that ordinary citizens had a real say in their government. The Athenian system was far more direct than our modern democracy. Citizens didn't just vote for representatives, they voted on laws themselves. Every 10 days, thousands of citizens would gather on the Nix Hill to debate and vote on everything from tax rates to war declarations. They even had a unique way of preventing corrupt politicians from gaining too much power: ostracism. Once a year, citizens could vote to exile any political figure they thought threatened democracy. Talk about keeping politicians honest. But democracy wasn't their most revolutionary creation. That honor belongs to something far more fundamental: systematic thinking. The Greeks were the first civilization to ask not just how things happened, but why. This led to the birth of philosophy, and with it the entire scientific method we use today. Take Thales of Miletus, for example. During a solar eclipse, instead of assuming the gods were angry, he became the first person to predict one using mathematics. This was revolutionary. The idea that the universe followed predictable rules that humans could understand. This single insight would eventually lead to everything from modern physics to the smartphone in your pocket. The impact of Greek philosophy went far beyond science. Socrates introduced a method of questioning that would transform how humans think about truth and knowledge. Instead of accepting traditional wisdom, he taught people to question everything, even their own beliefs. This was so revolutionary that it got him executed. But his student Plato would go on to establish the first university in the Western world, the Academy, where these ideas would spread and evolve. Speaking of mathematics, the Greeks transformed it from a practical tool for counting sheep into a way of understanding the universe itself. Pythagoras didn't just give us that theorem you learned in school. His followers discovered that musical harmony could be expressed in mathematical ratios. They were the first to suggest that math was the language of the universe itself. But here's something most people don't know. Greek mathematics went far beyond geometry. Archimedes, working in Syracuse, developed the foundations of calculus nearly 2,000 years before Newton. He used a method called exhaustion to calculate the value of pi with unprecedented accuracy. He also invented compound pulleys, showing how mathematical principles could solve practical problems. Legend has it he once said, "Give me a place to stand, and I will move the earth." With his mathematical insights, he probably could have. Their military innovations were equally groundbreaking. The Greek phalanx formation wasn't just a military tactic. It was a revolution in human cooperation. Picture this: rows of heavily armed men, shields overlapping, moving as one unit. Each soldier protected not just himself, but the man to his left. This required unprecedented trust and teamwork, creating a new model of citizenship and brotherhood that would influence military and civic organization for millennia. The effectiveness of this formation was proven at the Battle of Marathon in 490 BC, where 10,000 Greeks defeated a Persian force more than twice their size. But it wasn't just about brute force. The phalanx required intense discipline and training, creating a new kind of citizen soldier that would influence military thinking for centuries. The Greeks also revolutionized medicine. Hippocrates, the father of modern medicine, was the first to suggest that diseases had natural rather than supernatural causes. He created the first system of medical ethics, the Hippocratic Oath that doctors still take today. His approach to observation and documentation of symptoms created the foundation for modern medical practice. Their influence on art and architecture cannot be overstated. Greek sculptors were the first to perfectly capture human anatomy in stone. They discovered techniques for creating lifelike statues that wouldn't be matched until the Renaissance. The Parthenon, built in Athens in the 5th century BC, uses subtle curves and optical illusions to appear perfectly straight. Architectural tricks that modern builders still study today. The Greeks also gave us theater, but not just for entertainment. Plays like Sophocles' Antigone ask profound questions about justice, duty, and human rights that we're still debating today. They invented the concept of tragedy as a way to explore human nature itself. Every movie that's ever made you cry owes a debt to ancient Greek drama. The amphitheaters they built had such perfect acoustics that a whisper on stage could be heard in the back row, without microphones or speakers. Their influence on architecture remains visible today. Next time you see a government building with tall columns, you're looking at Greek design principles, but it wasn't just about aesthetics. Greek architects discovered the golden ratio, a mathematical principle of perfect proportion that appears throughout nature. They didn't just build beautiful buildings, they discovered the mathematics of beauty itself. But here's the thing that keeps historians up at night. We only have about 10% of ancient Greek writings. The rest were lost when the great library of Alexandria burned. The achievements we know about might be just the tip of the iceberg. Some scholars believe the Greeks were on the verge of an industrial revolution. They had already invented primitive steam engines and complex astronomical calculators like the Antikythera mechanism, a device so sophisticated it shouldn't have been possible with ancient technology. What other world-changing discoveries were lost in that fire, and more importantly, what if they were closer to modern technology than we ever imagined? Recent discoveries suggest they had knowledge we're only now rediscovering. The question isn't just what we lost. It's what secrets of the ancient world might still be waiting to be found. The next time you see ancient Greek ruins, remember, you're not looking at the remains of a dead civilization. You're looking at the blueprint of our modern world. And somewhere in those ruins might lie secrets we've yet to rediscover. Passionate about uncovering hidden truths, fascinating civilizations, and the stories that shaped humanity, make sure to subscribe and join us for more journeys through time.